Good morning. Ann Metcalf with Conscious Eating, Conscious Living on this beautiful summer day in Sawasan, British Columbia. And today's chat is based on an email I received this morning about the Lahaina fires. And, with this conscious living, conscious eating chat I've been doing for 2 years now, it's to inform people of what are some conscious eating and living choices. What choices do we have, as an individual? How can we assist humanity, people we don't even know around the world? And we have so much power in our hands as individuals. And after this email I received, it was a letter sent through a page that I subscribe to. And I was thinking about, well, first of all, I was angry and I was sad because so much has been destroyed in Lahaina on the island of Maui. And we have a place north of Lahaina, and we weren't affected. Our place wasn't, other than they were without power for 4 or 5 days. And I know that in our complex that we have workers that come in. We come in as tourists, and that's what a lot of Hawaii is about, built on tourism. And with the infrastructure of that, and they already have a housing shortage on Maui, and I don't know about the other islands in the state of Hawaii. Housing is an issue worldwide. Vancouver, it's an issue. You've got people who are homeless all through the United States, millions of people that are homeless. And what are we actually doing about it? What are the officials doing about it? And then what can we as individuals do about it? And from our level, we've opened up our complex to the workers. There's at least 4 that actually lost their homes. They lost everything. And so they will be able to stay at our complex where their families can come and they will have shelter and they'll get some food, and donations of clothing, I'm sure, will come in from others that weren't affected by the fire. And I guess sort of what made me angry was in this note was that as far back as 2014, a research group looking at where Maui is, it's on the flight path of hurricanes, and they know they are. They have been. They've succumbed to humongous storms that have destroyed different parts of the other islands. And there was different reports another one in 2020, 2021, and the electrical company knew that they needed to upgrade to create this fire protection for their electrical system. And so when Hurricane Dora came in, it just wiped out the power system, and then the fire that they think was created in the mountains, it's destroyed the entire town and homes for blocks. And so here's a situation where the people, interested sort of citizens and groups, and even the electrical company, they were stranded for funds. They didn't have the money to do what they needed to do to rebuild that infrastructure. And now all the historical aspects of Lahaina, and probably hundreds of people, have died in this fire because what? We'll maybe fix it tomorrow, or not enough funds. Where do we get this money from? What's our priority? In terms of sort of really consciously living, where does, you've got the state and the federal depending on what country you live in, we've got provincial and federal officials, and quite often they don't do the kinds of foundational work to help the humans, the humanity within each country, and how we can shift them. And and so that's sort of the angry part, was that people that was brought to their attention. And then when COVID hit, they spent billions of dollars telling people to hide inside, pay them to stay at home. And they also denied them medications that would have helped. And that truth is coming out now, and has been for a year or two. And so then there's, the sadness of the destruction and the people that died as a result of this. And I'm thinking, okay, well, what can I do? Well, our unit is providing homes, as I mentioned, for the workers in our complex. And I read that the Hawaii Electric is going to talk with the hotels, which now don't have tourists because they've all been sent home, and to house those who need housing. In times of disasters, this is where we need to pull together. And this is how our conscious living from the heart, and not so much for profit, because profit doesn't serve right now. And there's communities around the world that are suffering. Some are going through wars, and wars don't serve us either. Like, what is that power trip that makes us think that, we'll have a war and things will get better? Well, you know what? It's the human. It's the humanity that's kind of living on the ground, so to speak, that gets hurt. And so I was just thinking, well, I'm so grateful that there's some positive work being done. They're pulling together. And how do you start from the ground up with that? Certainly with Lahaina and other war-torn countries. And I was thinking, well, in our conscious living, conscious eating as consumers, we can make a big difference. We can choose not to buy from companies that have rather unconscious, unsustainable practices. And that's where we as a consumer, we need to be smart. And we can. There's lots of information. That's why I keep sort of touting. Last week it was palm oil. Well, look at the destruction that's causing, and the release of the carbon from the soil that has sequestered that for years deep within the soil, and in our farming practices, and in our I know we've got this huge population, but there's ways of doing it consciously and supporting the people who live there, who are doing the work for us, in our food. Think of all the food that's on the shelf, and where does that come from? Who's involved? What was the local community? How are they pulling together to create that food for us to have in our supermarkets thousands of miles away? And I think it's part of our responsibility and the respect that is required for us to leap over these thresholds into the future, to call out those genuine, humane human qualities: patience, tolerance, love, and a lot of forgiveness, because we have done a lot of things out of arrogance and ignorance. And that time needs to come to a close. And I just wanted to make mention of an Australian friend of mine I met several years ago at the Lemurian Pineal Toning Choir. I've met her, it was in Bulgaria. I think she was there in France and Maui in 2012. And Karen, I call her Karen T. And She's doing a nature adventure therapy walk. It's a 3-day trek climb across the scenic rim in southeast Queensland. And so there are a lot of kids, teenagers, young people that are suffering sort of mental issues, emotional traumas from whatever their lifestyle is. And this group is raising money to get kids out into nature. And nature, we know, is healing. The forest, the trees, they're all healing, and they're all connected with the earth and with the stars above and the golden sun, all of that. It's all part of that, the oneness that people talk about, the interconnectedness, which we are with everything. So when we eat mindfully and we live mindfully and consciously, we are being nurtured ourselves. And people like Karen and others are making a difference. They, as an individual, helping their community. And a number of years ago, my husband and Howie and I, we trekked with the Summits of Hope group. And we did Mount Kilimanjaro, the Mount Everest Base Camp, these high altitude mountains in Ecuador and Machu Picchu in Peru to raise money for the BC Children's Hospital, which supports children with, our money went to the oncology ward for the kids with cancer. And they brought, some of it went to the ward itself and others went to buying toys and things that the children needed while they were getting treatment away from home. And so we climbed, and it was tough, and we did it. And you can do it too. Choose that climb for what that is for you. And it could be a physical climb, and just a climb in different ways, in whatever way you can do it. It could be financial. That's another way, or support a nonprofit group and see, and yeah, pick the one that sort of calls to you. What it calls to your help. And so I wanted to just finish with some breathing that I've learned from Thich Nhat Hanh. He was a Buddhist monk. He was a refugee. He was exiled from his country in Vietnam for I think 30 years, and he was a peace activist. And that's what got him in trouble. And yet it led him down to creating plum villages, the retreats where you and I and others can go to find that centeredness, that place of peace within us. And he does this mindfulness breathing. So as we breathe in, we arrive. And as we breathe out, we are home. So we arrive and home to our essence heart space, that beautiful pure consciousness. And while I was sort of angry and sad this morning, I'm going, okay, I'm going to breathe in the anger because that's what I was feeling. And I'm breathing out just awareness and acknowledging that anger. Breathing in the sadness and acknowledging that sadness. And breathing in calm. And breathing out more peace. And breathing in more calm and peace. And bringing out joy. And whatever words fit with you, I encourage you to do that. Whenever you come across things that sadden or madden or frustrate you, so breathe it in, acknowledge it, and then release it. Because we know that those strong emotions actually do physical damage to our body. Those emotions get stuck in all areas of our body. And that's one of the things that creates disease and illness within us. So keep shining your light. And when things get tough, know that all will be well. It will be well. And we need to keep strong and centered in our peacefulness and let that radiate around the world, into the earth, because that also makes a difference. We can be peacemakers. We are peacemakers. So let's let it be done. And so it is. Blessings. Until we meet again, I encourage you to go to my app, Authentic Sacred Design, where I look at body, mind, spirit, and earth, and all sorts of different tools and tricks and tips to help you be the healthiest that you can be. And till we meet again, blessings.